Alright, so you know the drill, we're back into Outriders with some more gameplay and news, and of course the team is making significant progress with the inventory issue, with the bug fixes and whatnot. Chances are we're getting this really soon, as well as the compensation, so we do have some more on that as well. And of course, one of probably the most forgotten bosses that I think was supposed to be a boss, but we never got to see them. We even had a bunch of trailers showing it, also a pretty interesting cutscene in the beginning of the game, so let's talk about that and more in this video. And as always, if you enjoyed this video at any point, it would be super awesome if you left a like on it. Or don't, you can do whatever the heck you wanna do, but I wanna start things off of course with the recent announcement right here. So we have some news on how the testing is going with the new update. Testing on our upcoming patch to address the inventory wipe issue is progressing well. So far, at the very least, they mention addressing the situation remains our highest priority, and we hope to share more news soon. And I really hope that too. I really want to see the patch notes. I want to see this inventory fixed. Now, is it going to drop today? It might not. Again, they are pretty hectic with the schedule right now. Like the last one they released on a Friday, even though they were supposed to release it like this week. I was initially thinking that they would release it this Thursday, but anything goes because it seems like the schedule is now pretty much all over the place and they're just trying to bring in those fixes and do everything along the way. So they are continuing to look into all available avenues for restoring as much lost gear as possible to those who experienced an inventory wipe, with the details of course that we again discussed in so many other videos. But we also have another really important official confirmation on the issue where people could no longer connect and, well, log in with the characters that experienced an inventory wipe beforehand. And we did have previous partial confirmation from one of the community managers that mentioned that that was indeed intended to further prevent more corruption of the save file and further facilitate restoration of the lost items. So the team came in with this response. Also on our list to fix is the couldn't connect to server error message some players are experiencing when they log in and play as affected characters. Once our restoration process has been completed, these characters should be able to once more play as normal. So there you have it. If you are in this situation and if you can't access your character, just know that that is indeed intended, and you can maybe go ahead and do something else in the meantime. But once the restoration and updates go live, you're going to be able to resume your normal gameplay, or at the very least most of it, depending how the rollover is going to happen. But also on the same note, I want to talk about how the restoration process is going to look like. Jasper over on Twitter asked, does this mean that the restoration is going on as we speak, or is it later this week? Well, the restoration will only be run after the patch has been released and the issue confirmed as resolved, so we need to wait first for the update to go live and also to get confirmation that the bug no longer occurs. And it makes sense because it would be a complete waste of time and items to restore anything if the bug still occurs. Like, imagine getting those wiped as well after the new update and after the new restoration. I think that a lot of people would just quit on the spot right there. Like, that would probably be the last very straw. But I'm also on the same note, we're working as fast as we can, so timelines are difficult to nail down since we could have things in place earlier or later than anticipated when responding to when this is going to all happen, if there's a timeline to the update and when this is going to be implemented. So there you have it. It might happen today, it might be tomorrow, but it might also take a few more days until this is going to be implemented. Now, in the meantime, I do want to talk about a very important subject, and now that I think about it, it makes total sense. So VertiD over on Reddit asked, where are you, buddy? And he posted pretty much this screenshot right here that was actually in the promo material before the game's release. I've seen this creature, and likely you've seen it as well in many trailers, like you saw tidbits of it. We also had it in Terra Infirma, by the way. When finishing it, the very last cutscene included this very beast right here. And the way they describe this beast or whatever it is that it was one of the most powerful beings, at least on the planet, and even the altar did not dare to come close to it, as it could easily wipe out 100 people or maybe more in one single wipe. And in this screenshot right here that we've seen a number of times, we can see the team of 3 Outriders being pretty much head against it. So this begs the question, was this intended to be a boss fight, or is this something that is going to release later as a form of surprise? And if they do that, I think that's going to be a pretty awesome content update, even if it's just like a small little encounter in there, or maybe something in a raid. I would really love to see something like that, maybe something really awesome. Honestly, I thought that this would be the end boss fight in the expeditions, like especially that Eye of the Storm, but now that I look at it, it wouldn't make any sense, since yeah, this is in a completely different kind of area. But we can see the Outriders right there, and the question is, how would a boss fight like this look like? And luckily enough, we have quite a number of examples, well, basically 2 from the main campaign, with humongous beasts that have different mechanics than anything else in the game, well, with a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part they seem to have a mechanic of their own where you have to fight them directly. They're super oversized, but they have these kind of like weak spots on them that if you penetrate and destroy, they reveal the weak points, and you can deal even more damage if you exclusively aim at those, like increasing your damage 5-10 times your normal damage, which helps taking them down way faster. They also seem to have a ton of HP, so in this case this beast would be incredible, like really huge. I also wonder what the weak points could look like maybe the joints, maybe take down the joints so that it collapses and it's easier to take down, or maybe it's like big eye looking thingy in the center over there at the top. Not even sure if it's an eye or a head or whatever it is, but it looks pretty crazy, pretty interesting, and you know what, it would be awesome in a new end game activity that would give you some really awesome gear sets or maybe more chances at legendaries. Yeah, speaking of legendaries, it would be awesome to maybe have more in the world tiers, so it would be awesome if this was a content outside of the expeditions. Just my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is as well in the comment section down below. But in the meantime, I also want to talk about a couple of other important subjects, which is how the game fares right now. And it seems that Outriders is still the best-selling Steam title again in the second week, after already being in the top #1 chart right here for the first week, and it seems that for the second week it's also right there at the top. It Takes Two is also right there. Now we're gonna talk about the numbers on Steam in just a little bit, but no matter how much divisive it is, Outriders has clicked positively with the players. It just proved that, maintaining the #1 Steam spot right here, as we saw from the graphs. The Square Enix looter shooter has created many buzzes, either because of its gameplay or the Easter eggs and references. Like, I really enjoyed the one in the demo, like the article mentions with the US Capitol riot, so that was pretty fun, not gonna lie, even though I believed I read somewhere that this was unintended, though I'm not sure about that because it seems to be pretty specific. But in simple words, it can be easily called a viral hit on a PC platform. It already has more than 100,000 concurrent Steam players day to day, which is really awesome. However, on Twitch, the views did notice a dip, especially following, well, pretty much this last week with all of the issues that have been happening. Also, on top of the fact that it's a single player game mostly, you can play it, well, pretty much single player if you want to. It didn't get any piece of content, so I reckon that most of the people who got to play it on day 1 are pretty much done even with the end game, or at the very least are there right now and on the last few steps before they complete their first character with the min-maxing and whatnot. So even if we take a look at the Steam charts right now, like just a couple of days ago there was about like 100,000 people on a 24-hour peak, well now there's only 64,000 with about almost 30,000 playing like 15 minutes ago for me. So right now it's the downtime because I'm pretty much on the opposite side of the globe for where people are and usually most of the people play from. But yeah, it's very interesting to see this. It's most likely because of the bug issues with the inventories and whatnot. I've seen countless comments from you guys telling me that you simply put the game aside until you know that the bug fixes are implemented so that you can play your characters without fear, which makes total sense, but that's a pretty big dip right here. It means that the 24-hour peak is now only about a half of the all-time peak from literally less than what they used to be basically a few days ago. So yeah, hopefully once the update is implemented, things go back to normal, though I would expect further player base bleed, as of course it's usual with games that don't get constant updates, and even in those cases they have peaks and then they fall and then they stabilize, so it's pretty much going just as planned. But this is it with the recent news and updates. Of course, more incoming soon, so in the meantime, if you want to stay up to date with that, definitely make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe and activate that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.